Hey guys, hope everyone's had a good weekend. Today I've got a 30-minute live for you talking about what I wish I knew before I started going to the gym. So I'm live for the next 30 minutes talking about my experience. I've been training for over a decade in the gym. So if you guys are a gym beginner or you don't want to make the same mistakes I did when I first started training, then stay with me over the next 30 minutes where I'm going to share with you guys some of these mistakes that I've made when I first started training. If you guys have not seen me before, my name is Ross. I'm based in London and I've been posting on TikTok and social media now for around 6 to 7 months. I've been doing these lives since the start of the year. So we're coming up to 3 months now on the most popular fitness topics. If you guys do join this session late or you want to catch some of my other episodes that I've done, I do upload them all to my YouTube channel so you can catch them there. Also as well, guys, if you do find this live helpful, please like the live. Please also as well comment. Please feel free to ask your questions. Like to make this as interactive as possible as we're moving through. But today we are talking about what I wish I knew before I started going to the gym. If I had known these tips before I started gym, this would have saved me months. So if you guys are a beginner in the gym or you're already training, maybe you've been training for a few years or 1 to 2 years. For me, I want to share with you guys from someone who's been in the gym for a good number of years, some of my biggest mistakes. And if you guys stay with me until the end, I'm going to share with you guys the biggest mistake I made when I first started going to the gym. Thank you very much, Justin, for liking the live. Really appreciate the feedback. If you guys are just joining today, we're talking about some of the things I wish I knew before I started going to the gym. I'm going to be talking about some of my mistakes that I've made, and potentially some of you guys may be able to resonate with some of these mistakes that I've made because they are quite common across the board. But guys, any fitness related questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer any questions as we're moving through. But in terms of the first mistake that I've made when it comes to gym is doing too much too soon. So this is something where when you first start training, and especially just speaking from my own experience, when I first started training when I was 14, 15, 16, I first started with doing bodyweight training at home. Me and my brother used to do a lot of these workouts in our front room. We were doing consistently every day. We're doing pull-ups, push-ups, we're doing squats, we're doing core work. We were doing the whole lot. Once I then started moving into the gym, which was obviously a lot more intense, I think looking back on it now, I was just doing too much too soon. And this is very easily done, especially when you first start going to the gym because you're so pumped, you're so motivated about getting fit that it's very, very easy to do too much too soon. And look, although it's great to be passionate about going to the gym and getting fit, if you do too much too soon, especially as a beginner in the gym, then number one, this could lead to injury because you're not giving your body enough of the rest in order to rest and recover before your next workouts. But also as well with overtraining is, barring the recovery, is you are at a larger risk or a higher risk of getting injured, which then means you can't go to the gym, and then that then sets you back further from working out. So guys, if you are just joining, today we're talking about my biggest mistakes that I've made in the gym. I've just spoken about my first mistake, which is doing too much too soon. I was definitely overtraining when I first started working out. And definitely I was going to the gym pretty much every day at that point, although I was training different body parts at the time. So guys, if you are just joining, I'm doing a live now for the next 20-25 minutes, all based around what I wish I knew before I started going to the gym. If you guys have got any questions, any fitness related questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. But in terms of my first mistake, doing too much too soon, I was very passionate about getting fit and about starting the gym. So I was pretty much training every day. On reflection now, I needed to take more rest days. It was definitely affecting my performance in the gym. And it did lead to a few injuries. Luckily, nothing that set me back too far. But one of the most important things on reflection is you need to give your body the rest and recovery, because you don't grow inside of the gym. It's all about your rest, recovery, and nutrition. Super, super important. Workouts are the small part of the pie when it comes to getting fit. So aside from doing too much too soon, and ultimately I was doing a lot of overtraining when I first started working out, I was also following a lot of advice that I'd see online, which was copying advanced workouts. Again, being a beginner in the gym, you need to follow a simple workout split. Always building the base of your program around compound lifts and around the basics is the most important thing. If you are doing copying advanced workouts like I was when I was a gym beginner, then realistically it's not going to be sustainable, because it is not for your level. And this is the most important thing about when it comes to being successful with getting fit, is you need to make sure that it is tailored to your fitness level. So if I've got any gym beginners on here and you're looking for a workout split, I have got a free 3-day full body split that you can download on my main page. That is very beginner friendly, and that is very tailored to seeing results very quickly around the basics. So if you guys want to see that, you guys can catch that on my main page. So one of the things that I want to emphasize here is around doing too much too soon, especially if you're a gym beginner, is a no-no. You don't want to overtrain. Remember, this is a long-term thing when it comes to getting fit. And one of the things that I want to emphasize is simple routine. So just like the one I've got on my main page, the 3-day full body split is a simple routine, but it is highly effective if you're willing to stay consistent with it. So I've got a question here. So 30 kg down, barely ate protein, and I'm skinny fat now. I've just started weight training. So thanks Em for leaving your comment. Firstly, congratulations on the weight loss and you staying consistent to losing that amount of weight. You've just said it there, you've barely ate protein. One of the most important things that you need to do is make sure that your protein intake is high. So as a bare minimum, you need to make sure that you're having at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. So just to make that really simple, I'm around 80 kilos, which is around 180 pounds. That means I need to have 180 grams of protein each day. So, great job. You just need to up your protein intake. Keep staying consistent with the weight training if you're started it already. If not, as I've mentioned, you can get my free 3-day full body split and just stay consistent with it. High protein intake, that will then protect and build muscle, and there with the high protein intake, you'll then transition as a body recomp from being skinny fat, and then we'll adjust your body fat percentage to being a little bit more leaner. So guys, if you are just joining, we're talking about some of the gym mistakes I made, or some of the things that I wish I knew before I started going to the gym. We've just spoken about my first mistake that I've made, which is doing too much too soon. The most important thing is focusing on simple routines and being consistent. Yeah, let me know how you get on, and thank you very much for downloading that three-day split. And yet prioritize cardio as well. So the one thing I'd recommend, just to mix it up and keep it fresh, is do your cardio with your 10,000 steps a day. So break this up into a morning walk, 15 to 20 minutes. You'll get some nice direct sunlight into your eyes, so it will prepare you for your day. At lunch, I want you to go for a 35 to 40-minute walk. And then after you eat your dinner in the evenings, I want you to go for another 15 to 20-minute walk. So with those accumulations, plus your general walking throughout the day, you'll do 10,000 steps a day. Alongside the weight training, you'll be well on your way. So thank you very much for downloading that free 3-day split. If you've got any other questions, once you start it, feel free to DM me. I'll be more than happy to help you. 17K steps, then amazing. You're already doing a fantastic job. So well done. Thank you very much for sharing that. Good luck with the free 3-day split. Any questions, let me know. Guys, if you are just joining, we're talking about some of the things I wish I knew before I started going to the gym. The first one is doing too much too soon. The next mistake that I made definitely when I first started training all them years ago is I ignored nutrition. I used to think to myself, as long as I go to the gym consistently, I can eat pretty much whatever I want. And that couldn't be further from the truth. When it comes to getting in shape and getting fit, one of the most important things you need to take into account is it doesn't matter how many workouts that you're doing, you can't out-train a bad diet. That's why it's super important to make sure that you know how many calories that you're having each day, and that you're tracking it in terms of whatever your fitness goal is. So if you're looking to build muscle, you then need to be in a slight surplus. If you want to lose weight, or if you want to lose body fat, you then need to be in a slight deficit. So definitely ignoring the nutrition side of things for me many years ago when I first started training is one of the biggest mistakes that I made. And some of the basics that you guys need to follow is your protein intake. Just as I was speaking to Em, you need to make sure that you're having at least 1 gram per pound of body weight each day as a bare minimum. So keeping your protein intake nice and high. And you need to be consistent with tracking your calories. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be consistent for at least 80 to 90% of the time. Otherwise, if you're not tracking your calories and you're being blind, it doesn't matter how many workouts that you're doing, you could be potentially very easily be under eating or overeating, even if you are eating healthy foods. So that is one of the most important things to remember. And in terms of prioritizing nutrition, you don't need to be on an extreme diet. I'm not saying here that you can't eat treats or you can't eat chocolate crisps or whatever you like. It is all about balance. So for 80% of the week, I want you guys to be eating healthy. And for the other 20% of it, you can be eating some of those chocolate crisps. You don't have to cut out anything. It's all about balance. So guys, any fitness related questions, please drop them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them, just as M did. He dropped his question in the comments and I was able to answer. So next, we're going to be moving on to mistake number 3. So we firstly covered the 2 mistakes that I made when I first started training, which is doing too much too soon, ignoring nutrition. The third mistake I made, and this was something when I first started training, I really wanted to get strong really quickly, and I would sacrifice my form and I would do a lot of ego lifting. You know how it is when you first start going to the gym, the thing that you want to get strong at the most is bench press. You want to be benching at least 100 kilos. You want to be benching 2 plates. You want to be benching 3 plates. And look, ego lifting and bad form, they are they are literally 2 of the worst combinations that you can get, especially when you're a beginner in the gym. A little bit of a background on myself. I was extremely skinny when I first started training, and I found it hard to put on weight. And I was whacking on way too much weight on the bar, especially on bench, and I was sacrificing form. And I'll be honest with you, I was barely getting a few reps out, but I was trying to chase the number on the bar, the weight on the bar, as opposed to focusing on the right form and technique and thinking about, right, this is a working set. I need to make sure that each of my working sets are clean. So, one of the most important things to remember here when it comes to form is bad form and ego lifting is only going to lead you down one path. And when you're doing a lot of heavy bench presses and all that good stuff, it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. And I definitely got a couple of shoulder injuries when I first started training. And when I first got one of my shoulder injuries, it then gave me a bit of a moment to reflect, to think about, right, what do I really want to do in terms of my training? I'm young, I'm passionate about getting fit, and I really want to get strong, but I'm injured. And that made me think about, I need to really rethink. It's not about the weight on the bar, because realistically, yeah, when you're in the gym, benching heavy weight is great, but when you're outside of the gym, it doesn't even really matter anyways. It's all about form over weight. And the reason why form over weight matters most is because with the right form, you're going to be activating the right muscles and you're going to be sending the right signals. That is what some of the most important things when it comes to building muscle and seeing results in the gym. And that just doesn't count for perfect form just over bench. It also matters over squats, deadlifts, push-ups. Every exercise you should be thinking about, how is my form here? If someone was to record you, how does your form look? Does it look picture perfect? That's what you need to think about. And if you guys think that you're doing the right form, and you don't know if you really are, you feel like you're doing the right thing, but you want to actually confirm it, you need to film your sets. Record your workout sets and actually see what is your form like. Because I guarantee you, without a lot of you guys knowing it, you're chasing ego lifting, you're chasing that weight on the bar, and you're doing bad form. So mistake number 4, when it comes to some of the mistakes I made when I first started going to the gym, is expecting fast results. So when people first start going to the gym, and when I first started weight training, I thought to myself, yeah, 6 months, I'm going to look like a completely changed person. I'm going to look completely different. The realistic timelines is 3, 6 months, a year, 2 years. You are just starting your fitness journey during those time periods. So you should not expect any drastic results, because a lot of people don't like to admit this, or they don't think about it in this way. But going to the gym is a very, very technical exercise. It's some of the most important things when it comes to getting fit and getting into shape. You need to think about the technical element of things. You need to learn you need to learn these technical movements even before you're able to start building muscle and before you start seeing results. So guys, any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Guys, if you are finding this live helpful, please like the live. When it comes also as well, going back to expecting fast results, is you need to have realistic timelines. You need to be consistent. It doesn't matter if you go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week, 1 week. If you drop off for the next few weeks, you're not going to see the results that you want. So consistency is key. And when I first started going to the gym, and I was there 6 months a year, I made some good progress. I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking, But it was when I started training for 2 years, 3 years, that's when I started to really start to see the results from when I first started training. So it takes time to see the results that you want. So this is what we're going to be talking about next, is actually my biggest lesson when it comes to getting into shape, getting fit. And this is probably, my biggest lesson when it comes to what I wish I knew before I started training or before I started working out. And what that thing is it's all about discipline over motivation. That is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned when it comes to getting into shape, when it comes into getting fit. So Ems asked, when did you stop working out? So I haven't stopped working out. I still am working out. I'm just sharing in this live some of the things that I wish I knew before I started lifting. And what I'm talking about here is this is one of the biggest lessons that I wish I knew, which is all about discipline over motivation. And what matters more is essentially you need to keep showing up regardless of however you feel. If you can show up and be consistent, then you will see the results that you want. It's all great when you're feeling motivated and when you're feeling like you're pumped and you want to go get a workout in. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, for 80 to 90% of the time, I don't feel very motivated to go to the gym. And that's why you've got to be disciplined and you've got to have systems in place in order to get to the gym or get the workouts in. You then build up those points over a consistent period of time then lead to results. Showing up consistently matters the most when it comes to the biggest lessons that I've learned when it comes to going to the gym. So just as a quick wrap up before I close out this live, guys, please let me know if you guys have got any questions, any fitness related questions. Please put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. But in terms of recapping what I wish I knew before I started going to the gym, first one is doing too much too soon. Most important thing that you guys need to focus on is basically doing simple routines and just making sure that you are prioritizing rest and recovery. You don't need to go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week to see results. All you need to do is 3 solid days a week with proper rest and recovery and nutrition, and you'll see the results that you want. I've got a free 3-day full body split on my main page that you can download if you want some guidance. The second mistake, just as a recap, is I ignored nutrition when I first started training. You can't out-train a bad diet. In terms of your protein intake, you need to have 1 gram per pound of body weight in order to build optimal muscle. It's all about consistency over perfection. The third mistake I made is I was chasing the number on the bar. Going back to my bench press story, I really wanted to bench over 100 kilos. This then led to bad form and ego lifting. You need to prioritize solid form more than the weight on the bar. Good form activates and sends the right signal to your body in order for muscle growth to happen. Mistake number 4 was expecting fast results. I spoke about if you're going to the gym for 3, 6 months, 12 months, a year to 2 years, you are still very much a gym beginner. I didn't really see massive results until I was in the gym for 3 years. And it's all about that consistency. And the biggest lesson I wish I knew before I started lifting is it's all about discipline over motivation. Showing up matters most. And again, like I said, it was 3 years before I started to see solid results in the gym. And that's why consistency matters the most. So guys, thank you very much for watching today's live. I'll be back online tomorrow at 7 p.m. Any other questions, guys, feel free to DM me. I wish you a lovely Sunday evening, and I'll catch you guys soon.